Number 3.
Yeah, so number 3, 2, and 1, or 3 at least here is probably pretty obvious. It's Ben Smith. Ben Smith is the only guy with more CrossFit Games appearances than Scott Panchik. He's been to the games 11 times. He was invited one year, but he qualified the first 10 times he made it. And he won it in 2015. He was a runner-up once. He was on the podium. He was on third place twice, making him have 4 podium appearances, which is the third most all-time for the men. Even with a couple of bad years, he had a 28th. I guess that was really his only bad year. He did have an 11th and a 12th also, but he was first, second, third, 7th, 8th, 11th, 12th, and 28th, so an average of 7.5 placing at the games over 11 years is pretty substantial. He does only have 3 event wins. He won the Tota Bar Ground Overhead Workout in 2010, and he won 2 events in the year that he won the games, Heavy DT and Soccer Chipper. That Soccer Chipper event was basically the signature event for him of the games because obviously Fraser struggled with it, and he was just incredibly dominant on that. Overall, I don't think he's the most flashy athlete. He's just a get work done type of guy. But when you have this combination of longevity in the sport and excellence at the top of the sport, it's pretty hard to exclude him from the top 3 right now. I do think that Pat Vellner and possibly Brent Fikowski with 2 or 3 more solid years, like top 5 finish type years at the games, have the potential to pass him. But he's pretty well etched into the history books here, and I have no hesitancy to have him third on the list, especially prior to this year's games.
It is interesting what you say. He's not a very flashy athlete. Of all the guys that are going to be on this list, of all the guys I've interviewed, he's definitely the most soft-spoken. He kind of is the most difficult to get words out of. That's not a dig at all. And he probably has less notoriety than any of them in terms of just media notoriety and like in fan acknowledgement. Maybe Scott Panchik too, although Scott is funny as shit. When you do get him talking, he says some funny shit. I think all those guys I've heard, toss some dirt around and do some shit talking in interviews, which is always fun. But I don't think I've ever gotten anything like that from Ben Smith. He is so chill.
James, you like Ben here?
I like Ben here a lot, yeah. And again, just because I've known him in the sport for a long time, and he literally came in as a kid. No, I think Ben's a super, and like you said, he's sort of like unspoken, kind of like Scott in this way, but more successful. Just his ability to do work, show up. It's true, more successful. He's got that championship medal, man.
Yeah.
No dig against Scott, but I don't know. I like that about him.
Brian, thank you for slapping Hobart and making sure he stays awake during the show. Number 2.
I was seeing how many Instagram followers he had.
Oh, that is, and how is he? How many does he have? What did
I think it was a little over like 455,000. It was just interesting.
Yeah, I wonder if that's more than
not
Scott.
one of the criteria I factored into the rankings.
How many does Scott have? Can you see that easily, Hobart?
I could just check. I remember BKG was like 177, and then like Noah and Fikowski have like 750.
Wow.
But, hold on, 323 for Scott Panchik.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And Ben was one of the early guys to get really, really strong too, right? Right in front of that refrigerator. He got really strong with the wasn't back squatting his thing?
Yeah, he back squatted 500. I think he was one of the early guys to snatch 300. Right?
Yeah, both him and Scott Panchik are just. I mean, when I think about these guys, as good as they are at everything, the thing that stands out to me most is their proficiency at Olympic lifting. They just have phenomenal technique, even under heavy loads, and I think it's one of the reasons that they've been able to be so good for so long.
By that you mean injury-free because of their technique, Brian?
Yeah, they lift a lot of weight. They do it regularly, but they don't do it unsafely. I don't think they ever push it beyond what they need to, or circumstances where they need to. Like in training, I think they train percentages with high quality of excellence. It's the only way I can explain how they can continue to show up for 10 years at these competitions and be in the upper echelons on every weightlifting test.